okay, so they're also trying to do all this stuff as a way of figuring out whether or not this is actually a curse from the God of Israel. This would now have two different signs, at least included in the process. First off, if these cows wind up going across the border into Israel, that's sign number one. And then, if they also get healed of the tumors and all that kind of stuff that's been plaguing them goes away, that'll be the second sign. Pretty much confirming that, yep, it was their God. And he was mad at us. What's up, cool people? My name's Matt. Welcome back to our Bible study. Okay. So we are looking at 1 Samuel chapter 6. Basically what happened in previous chapters was, Samuel was born, and because of a promise that his mother made, he was given to the priests essentially as like a helper. And it turned out that the lead priest, Eli, wasn't exactly doing a good job of wrangling in his sons. They were just completely being disobedient, not caring about their priestly duties the way they should have, and it wound up that God was angry with him and his sons, and just a couple chapters ago finally decided, all right, enough is enough, and they wound up dying in the midst of a conflict between Israel and the Philistines. Also in the midst of that, the Philistines wound up taking the Ark of the Covenant. Because Israel had taken it to, or at least near the battlefield, to, help get God's blessing or strength or whatever on their side as they fought. But Philistines still won, so they took the Ark of the Covenant with them. Well, then, last chapter, it turned out that wherever the Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant, at least in their cities, that they wound up getting tumors. They were literally cursed with tumors just from the presence of the Ark of the Covenant being there. There was also like a statue of Dagon that wound up falling over and breaking in half because of being near the Ark of the Covenant. So, at this point, the Philistines are like, this is ridiculous. We clearly should not have this here. We need to return it. And it seems like that's what they're about to do in this chapter. So, 1 Samuel chapter 6, here we go. The ark of the Lord remained in Philistine territory 7 months in all. Then the Philistines called in their priests and diviners and asked them, "What should we do about the ark of the Lord? Tell us how to return it to its own country." "Send the ark of God of Israel back with a gift," they were told. "Send a guilt offering so the plague will stop. Then, if you are healed, you will know it was his hand that caused the plague." Okay, so I don't know necessarily if the Philistines were familiar with Israelite guilt offerings and what was supposed to be included with those. Seems like maybe they're about to get into that. But, I guess there was still concern that even after returning it, the Lord would still be upset with them for having taken it in the first place, basically. So, they're just trying to make extra sure that they do whatever they can, whatever is necessary to get this plague of tumors away from them. And it was in at least 3 different Philistine cities, apparently over the course of 7 months. That's how probably relatively little time that it took for them to be like, nope, this ain't worth it, get it out of here. So anyway, verse 4. What sort of guilt offering should we send? They asked. And they were told, since the plague has struck both you and your 5 rulers, make 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats, just like those that have ravaged your land. Make these things to show honor to the God of Israel. Perhaps then he will stop afflicting you, your gods, and your land. Don't be stubborn and rebellious as Pharaoh and the Egyptians were. By the time God was finished with them, they were eager to let Israel go. Okay, so, yeah, no, this was not an Israelite guilt offering that they were giving here. Now, it mentions the 5 rulers being stricken, but it only specifically mentioned 3 cities that it was in the last chapter. Not quite sure how that math works out. Maybe there were other cities that it got passed around to that just weren't mentioned. But in any case, it would be fitting, not only relative to the 5 rulers, but if it was 5 different cities that the Ark of the Covenant was in, if, then they had this, offering of 5 gold tumors. How does one make a gold tumor? I don't know. And then 5 gold rats, because there were rats as well involved with, this plague that was coming upon them. There were rat infestations anywhere in Philistine territory that the Ark of the Covenant went. So, would be extra fitting if it was also 5 different cities that were affected by this. But anyway, so that's the suggestion of their, what do they call them? Priests and diviners. But let's see how it turns out. Moving along to verse 7. Now build a new cart and find 2 cows that have just given birth to calves. Make sure the cows have never been yoked to a cart. Hitch the cows to the cart, but shut their calves away from them in a pen. Put the Ark of the Lord on the cart, and beside it place a chest containing the gold rats and gold tumors you are sending as a guilt offering. Then let the cows go wherever they want. If they cross the border of our land and go to Beth Shemesh, we will know it was the Lord who brought this great disaster upon us. If they don't, we will know it was not his hand that caused the plague. It came simply by chance. Okay, so they're also trying to do all this stuff as a way of figuring out whether or not this is actually a curse from the God of Israel. And I guess this would now have 2 different signs, at least included in the process. First off, if these cows wind up going across the border into Israel, that's sign number 1. And then, if they also get healed of the tumors and all that kind of stuff that's been plaguing them goes away, that'll be the second sign. Pretty much confirming that, yep, it was their God. And he was mad at us. So then in verse 10, so these instructions were carried out. 2 cows were hitched to the cart, and their newborn calves were shut up in a pen. Then the Ark of the Lord and the chest containing the gold rats and gold tumors were placed on the cart. And sure enough, without veering off in other directions, the cows went straight along the road toward Beth Shemesh, lowing as they went. The Philistine rulers followed them as far as the border of Beth Shemesh. So, does that mean they didn't have anybody steering the cart at all? Or was it just alright, we're going to have somebody here. I mean, you wouldn't have the person steering it anyway, but, I guess typically you would have had somebody to at least drive them forward. So, maybe it was they had somebody driving them forward, but not, trying to force them to go a particular direction. Either way, the cows went to Beth Shemesh, to the border, and yeah, there's sign number 1. And then we get to verse 13. The people of Beth Shemesh were harvesting wheat in the valley, and when they saw the ark, they were overjoyed. The cart came into the field of a man named Joshua and stopped beside a large rock. So the people broke up the wood of the cart for a fire and killed the cows and sacrificed them to the Lord as a burnt offering. Several men of the tribe of Levi lifted the ark of the Lord and the chest containing the gold rats and gold tumors from the cart and placed them on the large rock. Many sacrifices and burnt offerings were offered to the Lord that day by the people of Beth Shemesh. The 5 Philistine rulers watched all this and then returned to Ekron that same day. The 5 gold tumors sent by the Philistines as a guilt offering to the Lord were gifts from the rulers of Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The 5 gold rats represented the 5 Philistine towns and their surrounding villages, which were controlled by the 5 rulers. The large rock at Beth Shemesh, where they set the ark of the Lord, still stands in the field of Joshua as a witness to what happened there. This is definitely a different Joshua than the one, that the book of the Bible is named after, because he had died well before this. But anyway, so the Israelites now have the Ark of the Covenant again, and when this cart got to them, they basically made an offering to God, including the cows who were driving the cart. So then, now Ekron was the last city that was listed in the previous chapter that, was a Philistine town where the ark had been. But it mentions, okay, I'm pretty sure I remember Ashdod. Well, you know what? Let me just go back to the previous chapter real quick and make sure I'm not missing any towns that were mentioned. Okay, so Ashdod was first. And then still Ashdod. And then now it did affect nearby villages wherever it went, so that could also be a thing if any of these major towns were close to each other. Also, so they sent that to Gath, and then after Gath, they sent it to Ekron, but it doesn't mention the other. It doesn't mention the other cities where the rulers were here. So I'm not quite sure. Again, maybe Gaza and Ashkelon were near some of these other 3 towns. But in any case, that I suppose was the reason why there were the 5 rats, or the 5 gold rats represented the towns. The 5 tumors represented the rulers. So, yes, there was some significance to that number, kind of unsurprisingly. Footnote there at Large Rock. That's how it reads in some Hebrew manuscripts. In the Greek version, most Hebrew manuscripts read Great Meadow or Abel Haggadolah. So, I guess it's saying that's where the large rock was, or something like that. Or maybe that actually reads that it was a great meadow instead. Either way, just certain town in Israel. This is where all this happened. Anyway, and then we get to verse 19. But the Lord killed 70 men from Beth Shemesh because they looked into the ark of the Lord. And the people mourned greatly because of what the Lord had done. Who is able to stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? They cried out. Where can we send the ark from here? So they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath Jearim and told them, the Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come here and get it. So it's, for a second, it's like, okay, wait, why did 70 men from Beth Shemesh die? Well, because it says they looked into the ark of the Lord, which implies that they, like, opened it up and looked at what was inside there, which nobody's supposed to do except maybe the high priest. But yeah, there's a footnote there. As in a few Hebrew manuscripts, most Hebrew manuscripts read 70 men, 50,000 men. What? Perhaps the text should be understood to read, the Lord killed 70 men and 50 oxen? That makes me think there's something in Hebrew to where, like, I don't know, 1,000 men and oxen wind up looking kind of similar. Because saying 70 men and then 50,000 men would make no sense. But 70 men and 50 oxen, okay, that's a little more reasonable. So anyway, the ark is being moved to Kiriath Jearim, which I know there's, or at least I'm pretty sure there's another name for that town. I'm not sure if that's also known as Shiloh, because if that is, then that's where the Ark of the Covenant belongs. That's where the tabernacle was. Eventually, if this isn't it, that's where the Ark should be making its way toward. But we'll maybe get more on that in the next chapter. But that does it for 1 Samuel chapter 6. Yeah, I know I'm not keeping the same lighting situation as I'm recording the start and the end of this video. I just didn't feel like doing it for this particular recording session. Anyway, so we've got the Ark of the Covenant back in Israel now. Yay! But seems like they still gotta get it to where it really should be. We'll see if that causes them any problems. But in the meantime, that's all we've got for now. So, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell if you're on YouTube to get updates when I post new videos. If you're seeing this anywhere else, just give me a follow or whatever you need to do for that platform. Look down in the description for info on other social media pages and all that good stuff. And leave comments down below there with any thoughts you have. So that'll do it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you soon for another video. Whatever the case is, till next time, stay cool, people.